Arlington honors veterans who served in the U.S. military since the days of our American Revolution. The town will be hosting its annual Veterans Day ceremonies this week, and ACMi News will also take you behind the scenes of an effort to honor one veteran who died in Vietnam, and how residents are doing everything they can to restore his memory. We'll take you to an Arlington nonprofit that helps children, teens, and adults get through some of the most distressing times of their lives. And with the holidays fast approaching, these experts say there is always help and hope. The 9th annual Arlington International Film Festival runs this week. This year celebrates diversity the world over and how the power of film can unify in these very contentious times. We also talk to Arlington's new poet laureate about one film that marries poetry with politics, courtesy of our 35th president. And ACMi takes part in a community-wide film that will entice, scare, enthrall, captivate, delight, mesmerize, bewitch, enchant, spellbind. And hey, what's an ACMi news anchor doing in a horror movie?
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Veterans of all U.S. wars are being honored in Arlington, with the town hosting its annual Veterans Day services on Monday. Hello, I'm Tyler Valancourt.
And I'm Brenda Mahoney. Thanks for joining us. We'll have the details on the Veterans Day ceremony. But first, we want to tell you about the work that goes on behind the scenes to keep the memory of those who have served and died in war never far from our sights. A memorial to Navy pilot Richard Buzzell at the field bearing his name along Summer Street is one such reminder. The nearly 50-year-old memorial is being replaced. Arlington Veteran Services Director Jeff Chunglo showed ACMi News where a refurbished plaque and new flagpole with granite seating will replace the old concrete casing. Buzzell was a 28-year-old lieutenant in the Navy during the Vietnam War, killed in action when the plane he was piloting crashed. His family worked to get the memorial and field dedicated in his honor in 1973 and are expected to be there for a planned unveiling in the spring. Chunglo says no service member's sacrifice should be forgotten and has made it his personal mission to specifically honor Vietnam veterans.
I think it's very important, especially for Richard Buzzell, who was a Vietnam vet. The Vietnam vets, when they returned, they came home to horrible conditions. And that generation has led the charge that they would never treat another returning service member the way they were treated. And I think that's very important. So it's tremendously important for me to pay respects and honors to all veterans, but in particular Vietnam veterans.
The Veterans Day Parade will take place Monday, November 11th, with marchers stepping off from Adams Street at 10:30 in the morning. They will continue up Massachusetts Avenue to the Central Fire Station for a brief ceremony and the placing of the wreaths in Monument Square. ACMi will have full coverage of the event on the public channel and online at acmi.tv.
Construction details are being hammered out for the new high school. The most immediate impact will be on the school fields. That's the word coming out of a recent town hall forum on the project. The general contractor revealed plans to start pre-work as early as this coming February. That means taking the baseball, softball, and Pierce practice fields, often used by town groups, out of use for spring sports. High school principal Matthew Jenger said it will have an impact, but they are making plans for other options.
We were surprised actually when we found that we were actually moving earlier on the spring, but we've already reached out to the Parks and Recs Committee and the scheduling in terms of youth athletics, looking at other fields that we can bring online for softball, because right now for us, we don't use our baseball field for our varsity athletics. We use that for JV, so they can use other fields on site, but our varsity softball field is here, so we're already working on a couple of sites where we would do varsity softball. For track and field, we're going to have to move people to various different sites and move more of our activities onto the Pierce practice field. We've had multiple meetings with that, and it's going to push and put more pressure out onto other fields in town.
Contractor Consigli Construction also addressed the phase building of the $291 million project expected to be complete in 2025. Students will remain in the school and move into each new wing as it is built. Noise and air quality will be monitored, and Consigli stressed a focus on safety. They also plan a class for students on construction and project management. In the meantime, the high school building committee will be getting an estimate on the detailed design costs in the next week, with plans to reduce or change non-essential items such as materials if it is over budget.
The holidays are fast approaching, and although they can bring joy, they can also come with sadness, especially for those who've lost a loved one. In our ongoing series on nonprofits in town, ACMi explores one that makes sure no child grieves alone. Intern Shayla McHugh provides a look inside the children's room, where kids who've lost a parent or sibling can find comfort and support.
So the children's room is started on the idea that no one should have to grieve alone. The central focus of our work is kids who are ages 3.5 to 18 who have had a parent or a sibling who died. We know in Massachusetts alone there are 77,000 grieving kids. So that means 1 in 17 kids is dealing with the death of a parent or a sibling, and often they feel like they're the only one. So we have created this movement across the country looking at child bereavement and thinking about ways that we can create safe space for people to come together and support each other.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the services and support groups that you offer?
So the children's room, I want to just start by saying we never charge any of our families for any of our services. We know that when there's a death loss, it often comes with financial hardships. So all of our services are free of charge. The core of our work is a peer support group. So we have peer support groups 6 times a week that meet every other week. It's a way for families to come as a unit, and then the parents are taken care of and their kids are taken care of. The kids are divided up by their developmental age, and the parents are able to sit with other parents who either had a spouse, partner, co-parent die, or another group for parents who had a child who died. The kids are upstairs, and hopefully we'll be able to show you some of those spaces, and they're with other peers who've had similar death losses. And these groups meet throughout the school year. People stay typically about 2 or 3 years and usually come to us within a year of the death. But we find that some people come back and forth, some people come right away, some people can't come for years after. What we've also learned in the last few years is that grief is not one size fits all, and our programming can't be that way. So we developed a couple of additional programs to really help our families. The first is Family Night, which happens once a month. We actually just had one last night. And it's a way for the family to stay together as a unit and do an art-based memory project. And we invite extended family, so we know when a death occurs, it's not just a nuclear family, it's also cousins and aunts and grandparents and neighbors and nannies and kind of who else is part of a family. So those are lovely. Those are once a month, and we have about 6 to 8 families at a time, and they stay together as a unit. So that's a new program, is Family Night. We also realize that parenting is really difficult, and the issues around parenting, especially when a co-parent or spouse or partner has died, is especially challenging. So we created an 8-week psychoed didactic group where parents can come in, talk about their struggles as a parent, and we can help give some tools to expand their toolbox. So things around how to communicate about with the person who died, how to continue with discipline, how to navigate those really hard times throughout the year, either death anniversaries or birthdays, but also the holidays are tricky. Mother's Day is rotten for some people, Father's Day. So those groups happen both in the fall and the spring. And then we've also expanded to do a lot more work with teens. We know that adolescence is a time that's difficult, and being other is really hard, and being other because you are someone who had a parent or sibling die can be especially difficult.
A really important work they're doing there. Well, if you're interested in learning more about the nonprofit, just go to their website, childrensroom.org.
ACMi has teamed up with other media communities to remake a Hollywood blockbuster, Beetlejuice. Each media community, including ACMi, remakes a scene from the movie, which will be shown this month. In our intense and horrific 4-minute calamity, Barbara and Adam die in a car accident and get stuck haunting their own country residence, unable to leave the house. And then, well, watch.
I'll make some coffee. You get some wood for the fireplace.
We should take things extra slow. Do you remember how we got back up here? I go back to the bridge and retrace out our steps.
That's how long you've been gone.
What's going on?
Let me show you something. Look. There's that, and there's that.
Handbook for recently deceased.
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 I don't know where it came from. Look at the publisher.
Handbook for recently deceased press.
I hate this. Just, can you give me the basics?
This book isn't arranged that way. What do you want to know?
Well, why did you disappear when you stepped off the porch? Are we halfway to heaven or are we halfway to hell? And how long is this going to last?
I don't see anything about heaven or hell. This book reads like stereo instructions. Listen to this. Geographical and temporal perimeters, functional perimeters, vary from manifestation to manifestations. It's gonna take some time, honey.
This project is part of Crowdsource Boston, managed by Northampton Open Media. All the scenes are edited together and then screened at the Coolidge Corner Theater in Brookline. Just go to crowdsourceboston.com for showtimes and dates. And our thanks to ACMi players Rodrigo de Souza as the immortal Adam and Eleni Kaminas as the anxious Barbara.
But do you think our talent stopped there? By no means. ACMi's Focus Media Group performed its own version, Scene 5 from Beetlejuice, Move-In Day. These Arlington High Schoolers, members, staffers, and interns all took part in the drama, the theatrics, if you will, on the art of moving in.
10 minutes. I'm already perfectly at ease. It's perfect.
It's Otho!
Otho, why don't you take the front door?
Bad luck.
Otho, you left the city for me. I'm so happy.
Of course you are.
Let's get one thing clear. We're here to enjoy the beautiful countryside, not to trash the place.
That's right.
Charles, you're lucky the yuppies are buying condos so you can afford what I'm going to have to do to this place.
I'm here to relax and clip coupons, and damn it, I'm gonna do it.
We'll do it quietly, dear, and let Otho and I think.
Well, kudos to all the actors in this keen piece of stagecraft. And also kudos to you. I think maybe you played a little bit of work behind the scenes there, Tyler.
I did. That wonderful home that you saw in the first scene we showed was actually my home. So, you know, don't come there.
All talent needs a place. Well, coming up on ACMi News, we of course will have all the events at Arlington High School this week in our Ponderscope, followed by all your sports action.
The 9th Arlington International Film Festival takes place this week. We'll talk to Arlington's new poet laureate about one film that helped kick off this year's film festival and how words can inspire people to change their world for the better.
And not one woman is in the NFL Hall of Fame, but one should be. A recent ACMi News report caught the attention of a PBS station who also agrees the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio should not be for men only. We'll explain.
If you see news happening in your area and you have a smartphone, you can see it, shoot it, send it. Make sure to hold your phone horizontally and send us your video. Or share your video with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for ACMi News.
Millions of Americans use hand sanitizers daily to remove germs from their hands. The FDA is issuing a final rule on consumer antiseptic rubs, including hand sanitizers, but will still be collecting additional information from companies on the safety and effectiveness of these products. However, consumers like you can continue to use these products if you do not have access to soap and water. FDA has not seen evidence that hand sanitizers are harmful. Washing your hands with plain soap and water is still the best way to prevent getting sick or spreading infections that could make others sick. The rulemaking process is one of many ways the FDA protects and promotes the public health. Remember, to fight germs, wash your hands.
The Arlington International Film Festival runs this week, but it actually kicked off its 9th annual event October 25th at Town Hall with a special screening of JFK, The Last Speech. A speech the 35th President of the United States gave to Amherst College students just weeks before his assassination. Even though JFK's address took place nearly 60 years ago, it still remains fresh in these troubled times. In the speech, Kennedy paid homage to poet Robert Frost and inspired students to challenge authority and to answer the cynical world of politics with the soothing gift of poetry. It certainly inspired Arlington's poet laureate.
And what I loved about this film was that you saw the idea of a gift, something being given from the old poet to the younger president. But then you saw that idea of giving again and again. You had this wonderful man, the rancher, who was then bringing the arts to the Indian school. And you watch the faces and you realize that we, first of all, never know the impact that we really have. Kennedy perhaps didn't know how many people he was sending out or inspiring into the world. And then the young people who hopefully will carry that message out as well. I think every artist, every poet hopes for just that they can give some of that gift to someone else who can make good use of it too.
We would like to thank Alberto Guzman and April Ring for putting on another successful Arlington International Film Festival. Here's a sneak peek of the festival's films running at the Capitol Theater November 7th through the 10th.
You wouldn't have a roof over your damn head!
So manipulative!
If you missed the festival, organizers tell us the 10th annual AIFF is already in the planning stage.
ACMi News Director Jeff Barnes has been running a series of reports on Upton Bell, the New England Patriots' former general manager in 1971 and 72. And if you've been watching our series celebrating 100 years of the NFL, it can be argued Upton's mother, Frances Upton, literally saved the league from self-destruction. Frances was a famous Ziegfeld Folly, Broadway, and movie star when she met Bert Bell, a man who had his sights set on a career in college football in the 20s and 30s. But being a performer who entertained nationwide, Frances saw the future of pro football and took Bert to his first game. From there, Bert was hooked, and with Frances Upton's money, bought the former Frankfurt Yellow Jackets and changed their name to the Philadelphia Eagles for $2,500. Bert rose to become NFL commissioner in the 1940s, and many rules and visionary actions he undertook helped shape the billion-dollar Sunday afternoon pastime into the NFL we know today. ACMi's story on Frances Upton caught the attention of the city of Philadelphia, and ACMi's Jeff Barnes was at the studios of WGBH Boston to talk to its Philadelphia counterpart, WHYY, about Frances Upton's contributions to football and why this extraordinary woman belongs in the NFL Hall of Fame. And, of course, her son Upton has something to say about that.
Your mother, in my opinion, belongs in Canton, Ohio. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I think she does. I mean, If Francis Upton doesn't introduce Bert Bell to pro football, insists that he watch games, take him to games, and then put up the money when they bought the team out of Frankfurt Yellow Jackets out of bankruptcy, and continue to support him during that period of time and encourage him. I mean, they were tough times. We moved from place to place to place. I thought it was the Ritz every time. It ain't the Ritz. And her role in this whole thing, one of the women writers for the Boston Globe have written about women in football are becoming bigger and bigger today, and the NFL wants to encourage them. I'm saying, my God, you should be honoring the woman who convinced the man who invented the pro football draft, sudden death, came out against gambling. This is the woman that belongs in there. Francis Upton, put her in, for crying out loud. Wouldn't hurt.
Wouldn't hurt. Well, it just goes to show that history can be re-examined. If you missed the story about Francis Upton Bell, all you have to do is go to our website, acmi.tv. The story is called In the Beginning, There Was Francis. Thanks to ACMi member Michael Armanius for providing us with the Upton Bell interview. Well, now that we're well into the fall season, there are many activities taking place at Arlington High School.
That's right, it's tourney time, and we have all your Arlington sports action. But first, let's go to Studio B with a look at your Ponderscope for this week.
Welcome to the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. On Friday, November 15th at 7:30, and Saturday, November 16th at 2 o'clock and 7:30, the AHS Drama Guild will present The Three Musketeers. This swashbuckling classic will feature its fair share of sword fights, classical romance, and elegant dance sequences. Tickets will be sold at all three lunches, in the main office, and online. Ticket prices are $8 for students and $12 for adults. They will also be sold at the door. Hope to see you there. Arlington High School's travel program is offering yet another fantastic trip for students. The AHS South Africa trip will take place during April vacation of 2020. The trip will include visits to Cape Town, safari adventures, and overall cultural and community involvement. There will be a parent informational meeting on November 13th at 6:30 p.m. in room 423 for all that are interested. Any questions, comments, or concerns can be directed to chaperones Miss Bennett and Miss Faisal. If you haven't already, please make sure to register for any winter sport through FamilyID.com. Additionally, all impact testing for the season will begin on Tuesday, November 12th. For more information, refer to the schedule posted outside the athletics office for allotted testing times and locations. This is a general reminder to all students that there will be a late start due to the parent-teacher conferences on Thursday, November 14th. On this day, school will begin promptly at 9 a.m., therefore losing C block and advisory in the schedule. Make sure to plan accordingly under these circumstances. I'm Sam Derringer, and this has been the Ponderscope. Now tossing it over to Nick for this week's sports update.
Welcome back, Arlington sports fans. We're now in the postseason, and the Spy Ponders are playing in win-or-go-home games. Field hockey faced Lexington in the first round. Arlington lost to Lexington 6-0 the two times they met in the regular season, but they gave the league champions everything they could handle in the playoffs, losing 3-2 in sudden death overtime. But after making the playoffs for the first time in a decade, the field hockey program has a lot to build off after this season. For the second year in a row, Arlington boys soccer played Belmont in the first round. And for the second year in a row, it took penalties to decide the winner of this Middlesex rivalry. After Belmont took a 1-0 lead early, the Arlington boys came right back and tied it up thanks to senior captain Sean Connolly. In the second half, Belmont scored 2 unanswered goals to take a 3-1 lead. But the Ponders stormed back with goals from senior Perry Sofashev and the freshman call-up Aiden Sheehan. After 2 grueling overtime periods, the game ended in heartbreak as the Ponders lost in penalty kicks. It was a playoff game for the ages, with many Arlington fans making the trip down to Pleasant Street to support the team.
Here we go.
Save! Win the Belmont boys.
Girls soccer beat Woburn 1-0 in the first round. Senior Sophie Morris scored the lone goal with under 10 minutes to play. The team was looking strong as the forwards did not fail to create chances, and the defense cleared away any looming threats. They look to continue their hunt for the trophy at home against Billerica on Thursday the 7th.
Ella sends it across, and Sophie,
That's it for this week's edition of Sports Update. I'm Nick Antonakis. Back to you at Studio A.
A lot happening at the high school and a lot happening at the Regent Theater. A dynamic and original rock opera is making its premiere at the Regent this week. Come Together was written and will be performed by the Arlington-based Ultrasonic Rock Orchestra. They'll be taking video of the concert at the Regent if you miss it, and we hope to show you some highlights in the very near future. Also, ACMi wants to thank Leland Stein at the Regent for all his support in helping us to tell great stories through the years.
Well, that'll do it for ACMi News. Don't forget to stay with us for all your latest news and sports updates. I'm Brenda Mahoney.
And I'm Tyler Valancourt. Thanks so much for joining us at Studio A, and we'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.